Hello and welcome to this quick introduction where I'm going to show you how to convert a Mirth Connect workflow into HL7 Soup. So here I am in the dashboard and we're going to create an AI workflow in this case. And when it loads up, we've got a couple of options in front of us. First of all, we get to choose what AI provider we're using. We're not tied down to any particular provider. You can use OpenAI, Grok, Anthropic, and we'll keep adding others on as we go. You can run that under your own account if you want to, if you've already got a subscription to those providers. Otherwise, get in contact with us and we can get you sorted out on one of our accounts as well. We've got the choice of creating a workflow from a description where we provided an English description of what you want. We've shown that in another video, but in this one, we're going to do import workflow from another system. And here we can select another system's workflow. And I just happen to have a Mirth Connect demo. Click on that and bring that in, start the processing. Now that's all that had to be done to kick this off. It's now examining that workflow. It's running through, it's breaking apart all the components, and it's determining how to build up the most efficient way, produce the same workflow in integration host. And it's going to try and keep the same structure that you had in Mirth, so it's going to be as familiar as possible while still being fully functional. Let's complete the process. We can see going through here, it's created the receivers, it's created the senders, and it's created new transformers for the steps that were configured in that workflow. Open workflow, pin that to the left-hand side, and now we can compare the two and see what it's done. Now we've got a basic Mirth channel here. Let's head across to the source. You'll see it's got our listener on port 6662, TCP listener, and we are a TCP listener on 6661. And we slightly changed the workflows so that they would run on different ports to not have a conflict for the demo. That's the only change that we've made between these two workflows. And you'll see all the standard Mirth settings. It's similar stuff here. The integration host is a more simplified view of that. You'll see that it's brought in the message template that was used. That's come straight from the Mirth message, and we've input that there. And that's now available, broken down into a tree for use as binding throughout the rest of our workflows. So let's cross to the destinations. We can see the first step that we're going to have is we're going to send it off as TCP. We're sending off the same message that came through, and we'll just go and edit the transformers, and we'll see the steps that it's doing. So first of all, it's mapping in the message from the received message. We can then head to the transformers in HL7 Soup. You can see as we've already completed step one. It didn't require a transformer, so there is no transformer equivalent in HL7 Soup. The next step, they've got a message segment that they're mapping from one system to the other. One's from the NS, one's from the temp. It's a bit simpler inside of HL7 Soup. We can see it's mapping it to the 4.1 and from here. And then we'll jump to the next step. We've got some code here. I'm going to bring that up into the code editor. So it's a bit easier to see because our screen's a bit squished for the purposes of this presentation. And let's bring up the same thing inside of Mirth. And you can see that they've got a date string. They're converting it from that format into the HL7 format and validating it through into the PID 7.1 and then putting that into the destination message. And we're doing the same stuff here. And notice it's still a very similar structure. It's kept this date string variable. It uses our helper methods that will automatically convert that value into an HL7 date that handles any date format that you might have. And then finally, it's going to insert that into the current app as a message at that location. So exactly the same code, but automatically converted from JavaScript into C#. And then finally, the last step, writing out to the CSV. We can see we're writing out using a unique ID, with the file name, and it's going to have some mappings in the transformer, and that's written in code. Let's see what we've got in integration host. We can see we've got a file writer. It's got that UUID in the file name still, and it's brought across those fields that were going to be used, ready for the mappings. And then we head across to the transformers. Again, we've got a code activity just to copy what Mirth had. Let's hit edit. And we can see, again, very similar code. Here we are getting out the destination that we'd put in before. In HL7 Soup, it's just grabbing the message that was sent from here. And you can see the mappings, column 1, 2, 3, 4 is equivalent of our 0, 1, 2, 3 versus 1 based, ours is 0 based in this case, and you'll see that it's automatically transitioned from that, and then get our value at PID 2.1, and it gets the value at 2.1. We don't have to break it down into the different parts like Mirth does. We don't store the data as if it's an HL7 message. We continue to store it and use it as HL7. So we don't convert it to XML. So it's just a bit simpler in order to get the values that you might need. But there, you've got exactly the same mapping. Now that we've got a fully functional workflow that's exactly as the Mirth one was, I just wanted to go back and quickly have a look at these values that we set as we ran through it. I'm just going to make that full screen again so we have a bit more space. But what's important here is we can actually look deeper into these. So if I was to look, say, at this one here, double click on it, I can actually see the result that was generated from that AI, specifically about converting that particular bit of code. And we can review more detail on the user prompt. This is the incoming one. You can see how it automatically converted from that one to this structure. Then you can even edit the system prompts if you want to get technical. If there were any errors, they're available too. And so you can take advantage of this data if you do need to make any adjustments as part of that transformation process. It is available for you to do so. Double clicking on these do also bring it up in full screen mode, which could be particularly handy if you're dealing with the larger documents and you don't want to see them in a small window. So I hope that's whet your appetite and how simple it is to convert from one system into another, then having the much more user-friendly and secure environment that's available with Integration Host. The next step for you is to head over to our website and get in contact with us, and we'll give you a personal guided tour through what can be done on your systems.